So on this last page, it's going to have us working with formulas. And in those formulas, we are going to run into radicals and exponents. And we're just going to work on what is the algebra to get stuff isolated when there's radicals involved. Okay, so here's a cone. Here's the formula for a cone volume. So I would give you a formula, and then it says, what is the volume of the cone? So I'm going to keep V in there. What is the volume when the height is 10 centimeters and the radius is 5 centimeters? So I just fill in from reading, and this would be a straight type into your calculator. So can you get your calculators out? And we're going to all see if we can type that properly. I usually put brackets around fractions. And I would type it all together and then push equals. Okay, so let's all see if we can type and get the same answer. Okay, so that's a volume, 2 decimal places. So what kind of measurement unit should I put as a volume? So here everything was centimeters, but what do you write for centimeters what as a volume? Centimeters cubed. Cubic centimeters is a volume. Okay, so now, what is the radius of the cone when the volume is 1,000? So that's going to go into the volume. And the height is 20. Okay, so I filled in what I know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to times those 3 items together. Okay, so I need a 1/3 times a pi times a 20. This is my calculator. Can you give me that? And is anybody getting 20.94, etc.? Okay, so on my paper here, I wrote 20.94 ... What do you think that means to you if I'm writing ... It keeps going, and I'm going to use this. So if you erased it off your calculator, retype it. I want you to leave it on there. So see how mine is still on my calculator. Okay, what's the next maneuver to start to get R alone? We would divide it by that number, right? Divide by the coefficient. Okay, so here's my steps. I'm going to go 1,000 divided by, and then I'm going to push my answer button. Okay, I'm not going to round anything. 1,000 divided by answer. $47.74 calculator. Please make sure you're practicing this. Mason, are you going back to your old calculator? Okay, last algebra step. How do I get r alone? If there's an r that is squared, how do I get rid of that? How do you undo a square? What's the opposite process? Square root. So what am I going to do? I'm going to square root, and then I'm going to push the square root of that answer. Square root of that. And I was getting, and now I can round because this is the end. So 6.91 what? Because it's a radius. Just centimeters. Because the radius would be a centimeter. Okay, was everybody getting to that number? Are we getting better at using that answer button as well? Got that answer button down, Pat? Okay, area of a circle. Formula. A equals pi r squared. The area is 78. So 78. Find the radius. Okay, so I filled in 78. Okay, trying to get r alone. Algebra, what do? First step, get the coefficient divided out. Okay, that makes sense with algebra. Divide the coefficient. So 78 divided by pi would go into your calculator. And again, you have to use the pi button. So 24.82 dot dot dot. So I'm showing you the dots to say, hey, look at me keeping it on my calculator. How do I get r alone with algebra? Square root. And again, I'm pushing the square root of, and I'm using the answer button. Okay, this time I have a foot for measurement. Feet are in the units there. Okay, last question. We have a surface area of a sphere. Okay, so the formula was given. A equals 4 pi r squared. Okay, so now I put 1600 in to the area spot. So on this one, what am I going to do? I'm going to times those together. So 4 times pi. So that coefficient is really 12.56. And then I'm going to divide. And I'm using my answer button every time I'm pushing something, right? So 1600 divided answer. Okay, so I got the coefficient gone. Now I just have an r squared. So isolating r squared is to square root it. Square root answer button. And are we all getting to the end result? 11.28. And then this time it is in meters. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. It's just a different way to do this. So if I'm doing this, I'm actually going to do it a different way. It's just a little bit more of a sophisticated thinking about it. So what I could do is I could divide by 4 pi, right? Which is what we had done right here, but we just called 4 pi 12.56. Right? And that would go. Here's the thing though. You just have to understand if you're typing this into your calculator that there has to be brackets on that. Okay, and you'll get to the same step. If somebody types it in like that, you're going to just get a wrong answer. Okay? So that's why I kind of just don't show that, because so many people make this mistake. Okay? If you are understanding your order of operations and you understand what you're doing with this, I really like this way. Okay? But make sure that you type it in like that if you're going to. Okay? So just looking back to my first example, nope, right up here. This one, if I had gone straight into that, I would have had to do 1,000 divided by 1/3 times a pi times a 20, with lots of brackets going on. Okay?